Kings have the same overall record, split the season series, but Warriors are hot and the Kings have lost 5 of 7. Last elimination game for Steph in Sacramento, well, he scored 50 points. Here he is on the similarities between last year and tonight.
Everybody talks about my numbers, but everybody was, engaged and locked in, playing physical, playing with desperation. And we're going to have that same type of mentality tomorrow. So it's kind of ironic, just everything that was built up to that Game 7. This is technically a Game 7 type environment in the same building, so we got to do it again.
No, he said tomorrow. The game is not tomorrow. He said that yesterday. Just want to make sure he knows when the game is.
Yeah.
Brew, are the Warriors on upset alert?
Yeah. I mean, I think they're going to win, but they could lose. These are really two evenly matched teams. This year they were 2-2 against each other. We know about last year's Game 7 or 7-game series. So it's going to be a good battle. Look, Sacramento, I think a big problem for them is the injuries. Malik Monk, Kevin Huerter. If those two were healthy, people might be the favorites. But with those two out, I think Golden State, we know they've been in these moments, that's to say the least. So I think the Warriors win, but sure, they got to take this seriously because it's one and done.
And the last 3 games between these teams were 1-point affairs. The Warriors won by 1, and then the Kings won back-to-back games by 1. That series, like you guys just mentioned last year, the key game of the series, Harrison Barnes had a shot, if you remember, to go up 3-1. He missed it, and then it ends up being a Game 7, and it takes the greatest playoff game, arguably, of Steph's life in order for them to end up. Now, they did win by 20, but it was close until Steph really lit fire at the end. I think Sacramento wins.
Wow.
I think Sacramento wins. I think that there is a lot of respect right now, Vegas odds makers understandably, to the history of the Warriors. But I was really bothered, if that's the right word, probably not, by how the Warriors finished the last week of the year when they could have avoided this situation. They are a smart team with smart players. They can project confidence, but they know what we know that we were discussing all year, mostly about the Lakers. The difference between being in the 9-10 part of the bracket and the 7-8 part of the bracket, and what that affords to you as far as margin of error and ability to actually go on a postseason run. We have never seen a team come out of the 9-10 to go on a real run in the postseason. We've only seen one team ever, in the West at least, come out of the 9-10 to even make the postseason. That was the Grizzlies when they beat the Warriors a few years ago.
Small sample size.
No, of course, right, but I think that streak continues, by the way, and so I don't think the Warriors win tonight.
You don't believe in Steph, Brew? Because to me, both of these games just go back to Pelicans-Lakers. It's the difference between you've got stars and the Lakers have a superstar, and the Kings have stars and the Warriors have a superstar. And when it's superstar time, the superstars show up and drop 50 and send you home.
I believe in Steph, obviously, but and even you talk about the way they ended the week when they lost that game that was critical. Anything can happen in a one game in the NBA. I don't care who your superstar is. That's why they play 7-game series, so that they generally get the best team.
If you treat this like a Game 7, you think Steph is
I think when you're a shooter, even the best we've ever seen,
right?
You can be off.
You can't. That's how Steph
and their
can
team
go.
with Clay and the rest of them, they can be off.
I'm not taking a shot at Steph, but I mean Steph had a bad game in the biggest game of his life.
Yeah,
which is a thing you don't typically see from an apex top 10 all-time guy in a huge spot.
But when that guy is a shooter,
that's exactly what I was about to say. Because he can't
like
just put his head down and be like, you know what, I'm just going to. And I think there is also, I think De'Aaron Fox, I know I'm the only person outside of Sacramento that remembers the broken finger, but I think Fox feels like they let one go. And I know Sabonis remembers getting his chest stomped on.
Probably.
And so in
That'll
Sabonis,
be interesting to see how he responds,
because Fox lit up the Warriors all year, 32-5-5. Sabonis averaged a triple-double against them, and there's real bad blood there.
Yeah.
And so I think I like the Kings.
I'll be honestly, sometimes I have to really work for a take and try to find my corner because you guys have such good cogent analysis. And sometimes Steph Curry just drops right here. Take Steph, Wilds. I'm like, will do. See you tomorrow. This is an easy W for Wilds tomorrow.
Okay, all right.
Wow. You guys are like, wow, you know what, Wilds? We should have probably the generational
hope
top
you're
10
right.
player of
I
all
wanna
time.
see him
Probably
keep
should have
playing.
believed in him. Sorry about that. Looking ahead. If the Warriors lose, which we don't expect them, I don't expect them to, season's over. Here's a look at the numbers of a trio that has a bunch of championships and has defined a generation, 720 games, 719, well, also 72% winning percentage. 6 most wins by a trio all time, almost 14,000 minutes on the court. So, Nick, what's on the line for the Warriors' big three if it goes south?
If they lose tonight, I think it's their last game together. I'm gonna read you something, then I'll tell you who said it. Plan 1 or 1A. Get out of the tax.
Yep.
I'm not talking about just get
Yeah.
beneath the second apron. Get out of the tax.
Entirely he wants out?
Entirely. That quote is from Joe Lacob a couple months ago, and in his defense, there's a real reason for it.
They're the most expensive team ever this
Right,
year.
but there's also, so this year they paid $177 million in luxury tax. And nobody watching cares or should care about luxury tax. But you should care if, in order to avoid it, a team's not going to stay together. In his quote, he talks about the real penalties, not being able to, once you're in the tax that many years in a row, what it restricts you from being able to do roster building wise. So if they want to get out of the tax, they can't bring back Klay Thompson unless he takes the Russell Westbrook Clippers deal. You know, if they can get beneath the apron and bring him back, but if they want to get out of the tax, they need him to basically be playing on close to the minimum, which I don't see as being realistic. So because of that, I think tonight is the last night of what, and I want your take on this, Brew, is the 4th best dynasty ever. I give you my list right there. Russell Celtics, Jordan's Bulls, Kareem and Magic's Lakers, Steph, Clay, and Draymond's Warriors, and Shaq and Kobe's Lakers. But what's so unique about it is this. The last game of Russell Celtics was a finals victory, and then he retired. The last game of Jordan's Bulls was a finals victory, and then he retired. The last game of Kareem and Magic's Lakers was a finals loss going for a three-peat, and then Kareem retired. The last game of Shaq and Kobe's Lakers was a finals loss, and then Shaq got traded. This would be really like out with a whimper. You know what I mean? For the last time they play together to be in a game that won't even show up on Basketball Reference in the future because the play-in doesn't count.
Right. You can't find
you
it.
can't
Play-ins
find it.
disappear.
I mean, it's like, what was the last game Steph and Clay played together? Nobody knows. There's no archive. And so I think it's the end of it tonight. I think it's the end of it.
It's a good list. It's hard to disagree with that list. I'm not so sure now.
Wow.
If they lose, look, Chris Paul won't, now unless he comes back at the minimum essentially, but his contract's not guaranteed. That's $30 million. Clay, it's going to depend on who else is looking at Clay, because he's certainly going to take a big pay cut. And does he want to stay with the Warriors at a lot less money? Is somebody else that's in contention? I don't see him just going somewhere just to make money. All right, now if it's a team in contention, Orlando's building, so maybe something
Orlando's
like
better
that
than
might.
the Warriors.
I wouldn't go. No, I don't think so. I don't think they're better than the Warriors. Because here's what. Remember, in the East, you're playing a much easier schedule than in the West. These Warriors, and I keep saying it. Nobody keeps believing me. 5th best record in the league since the All-Star break. I think they're looking at it like, okay, we've got
No,
What?
he's saying he believes you. That's why he's picking.
Oh,
them
you do
tonight.
believe?
No,
I know,
he's-
but are you
okay.
picking them tonight?
Yes.
He
I
said
thought
that.
you-
I
no,
picked
he
them. I
said-
just said
he said
they're on upset alert, but I'm
Yeah.
picking them.
Oh, I
like
didn't
it's
know.
going to be a tough game. I wouldn't
Okay,
be
but you
shocked
still
if they
have
lose.
them. I'm
I still got
sorry.
them.
Yeah.
But I'm saying if they lose, I think they might look at. They got to chop. I would shop Andrew Wiggins. Now I don't know if you're going to be able to trade him. He's got 3 years left, I think, at
Yeah,
about
lot
30
of
million a
money.
year, close to that.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you could trade him,
the
but I
time
would
he
shop him.
shows
I
up for
think
the
they're
game.
saying, look, Steph is at a top level. Draymond's still playing well. Clay came around and is playing well. If we can get him at the right price. And then the young guy, like for all we've mocked the trying to grow the old guys and the young guys, their young
Kuminga's
guys are
played better,
Kuminga's
yeah.
finally come around.
And their 2 draft picks this
Podziemski,
year.
Trace Jackson, Davis, like the young guys are playing well. They need to go out, like I've been saying for probably 2 years, get some size. It don't have to be great size.
But they don't have money for any of this.
But it doesn't have to be great size.
I know.
It wasn't great size when they had their dynasty. It was Andrew Bogut and Festus Ezeli.
Yep.
Get some size, though, and I think they might say, We can
I think
still
it's
make
the
the
end
run, but
tonight.
you're right.
I think
I know
it's the end
financially that's going to be a big issue. Too.
Dusty, where do we got Zach Edey going? He moved himself into the lottery?
I think, yeah, I mean, maybe.
Ooh, okay.
It depends on which mock draft. Huh?
Brew's official ballot has a few surprises next on FS1, the Fox Sports channel at Sirius XM.